Welcome to Successfully Ambiguous. I'm Christine Brooks-Cappadocia.
Biggest thing I'm rolling around right now, a problem connected to the trades industry. Because right now, my business is focused on skilled trades and manufacturing training. We need to get the workforce upskilled so much faster. The solutions for not only the employers who are trying to get people productive faster. They can't have it take 7 years for a carpenter to be effective. They need it to take 3. And so I have my own method tied with deliberate practice, which is a learning methodology. And
It's a
I'm like,
critical learning
we
methodology.
have to do that in the trades. We can't do this sporadic training anymore.
What's your advice for parents or even guidance counselors who really, want to embrace having learners go into the skilled trades?
Oh, this is such a good question. And it's one that, many, I'll say of us are mulling over. How do we make the pathway into apprenticeships and through easier for students and also easier for um, employers to say yes? Because employers are hesitant to say yes to take on too many apprentices, although they need to nurture that talent pipeline. They've got to get enough volume of new people into the industry so that they will have a fat enough talent pipeline in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So there's a kind of a joint effort that has to happen. And I still feel right now it's a little bit disjointed. I would say, like it always has been, get to know the companies who are hiring. So there is a networking aspect. I don't think you just hope for the best. It's not as clear a pathway as I'm going to go to university or college. And honestly, to be fair, you're not guaranteed a job there either.
No.
So I would say network, show up. The fact that if you can walk into a company that you admire,
Hmm.
everybody's hiring, Christine.
Right.
So if you can show up and as a decent young person, shake a hand, look somebody in the eye and say, I'm interested in a job as an electrician. What opportunities are there here at your company?
Right.
Oh, okay, let's talk to somebody. That's a way. I mean, certainly there's the
That's
union
brilliant.
way. I mean,
Yeah.
the IBW 353 is doing a lot in Toronto. Um, there are other organizations. If you just do a kind of a search for apprenticeship programs and pathways, there's certainly a lot of organizations that are trying to accomplish what you're talking about for your son. I think guidance is a whole nother story. I'm not really as tapped into what kind of education the guidance counselors are getting, but I do know they're not actively recommending trades.
No,
They
and
don't
I think
quite know.
it's because the pathway is a little bit more difficult
Hmm.
to recommend,
Yeah.
right? Guidance counselors are teachers. They've been through a very traditional
Hmm.
higher ed pathway. So I think, I'd love to see a user experience approach taken to as part of the conversations around this problem because we certainly need more people in the skilled trades than ever before.
Yeah, and there's some really good programs that are happening. One's called Level Up, and it's put on by Skilled
Yeah.
Trades Ontario. So they're trying to get out to the youth at the high school level to say, here's opportunities for you. So it's just seeing what's out there, Google searches, getting in touch. I think the only complaint I have is there's a lot of organizations trying to solve the problem, and they're not necessarily doing it together. They're kind of
Yes.
all doing it their own little way. And I think what happens there is sometimes the grant money goes out to different programs, and then everybody's trying to create their own.
You've mentioned how much you draw on your experience as a music teacher in your approach to training for the trades. Uh, what can other sectors learn from the skilled trades?
What a wonderful question. I think that the skilled trades, what they're really good at is creating that team environment, the I've got your back environment. So I think there's something to be learned from there. You can see very loyal, strong sense of community and belonging in the trades. It feels very similar to me as policing.
Mhm.
or other military type environments. I think trades and military actually are similar in some ways. And I think actually, oddly enough, one of the best workforces was the post-war workforce because I think they were so good at having each other's back, working as a team for a common outcome, sharing what you know. If you're a selfish tradesperson, you don't get very far. Like if you hold your cards really close, it's not so good. You know, the best companies that thrive are the ones where people really work together as a team. So I think learning from that, I've got your back, the team, and they're very, very hard workers. I mean, it's not a pleasant work environment always. And I think that's the challenge with trying to recruit younger people into the trades, and I'll say manufacturing as well. It's loud, it's noisy, it's dirty, it's hard. It's not, it can be hot, it can be really cold. So they're a very resilient bunch of people that work hard. And I think, that is such a
Right.
such a credit, to the industry. Um,
No, and that's so
yeah.
important, right? That trade-off is the camaraderie that you don't
Mm,
necessarily see. And certainly as employers are dealing with a workforce that is much more transient than it used to be, right? Young people are leaving jobs after 8 months now, 6 to 8
mhm.
months, where it used to be every 2 years.
And I
We
believe a
have a
lot
lot
of
to learn
that,
from that.
I believe a lot of that has to do with the workplace environment.
Agreed.
I have my own framework for how to attract and retain young people. And it starts with safety and stability.
Yes.
Young people want to know that the job they're getting into is going to pay them enough to live, is going to keep them employed. They're not going to get laid off. It's safe enough to work. They're not going to get harassed or bullied or yelled at or, you know, die for goodness sakes. There's people they're not looking for, they want that. Let me stay in the positive. They want that security and stability. And then the next piece is they want to know that they're useful.
Yeah.
So just picture if you go to your job on the first day, and many companies, I'm talking mid-size, let's say a 25, 30, 40, 50 employee company, they don't always have a great onboarding experience. So imagine if you get to a site and you're a bit, hesitant, you're a young person and you get there and you feel a bit awkward already. If it's not super welcoming to start with, like, hey, John, here's your gear, and we got your spot for your bag, and you're going to be paired up with, Lisa, and she's going to be teaching you everything today. And, that like very clear onboarding welcome experience, that actually is a huge factor in people leaving. Because if they don't feel that immediate comfort and I belong here and you want me here, you're excited for me here, and then a pathway. Like imagine you're a young person in the trades and now you've got a 50-week pathway to your first year. These are the skills you're going to be learning here in your first year. And we're going to be tracking those. And by the end of the year, here's what you're going to be able to say you've got under your belt. Wow, I'm staying there for that full year.
Well, and
And
it
then if I
helps
know there's
counter that expectation that you're going to be
yeah,
an expert on day one, and then
yeah,
people feel insecure and leave as well. So it's
right.
really
So
brilliant.
yeah, and it's also a great recruitment tool because if you have the choice of two or three companies to work for and one has a great onboarding, you can
Yeah,
see your first 3 years of skill development pathway within that company. And then you can see that after that, I could be an estimator and I could be a site super. I mean, wow, I
huge.
want to be there. I see progress, I see a pathway. And if the culture is good and there's a sense of purpose and community, you're going to be loyal.
Absolutely. Well, you've given us such great advice for both our employer community and our worker community. Manya, I just want to thank you so much for being on the podcast
Well,
today.
thank you.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of Successfully Ambiguous. Be sure and subscribe to us on YouTube and listen to us on Apple and Spotify. If you've got career questions, be sure to email me at successfullyambiguous@yorkhue.ca. Don't forget, when opportunity knocks, be ready to answer.